Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Everybody shout! Come on now, sing out! It's time for the ghoulies get together.
Well, hello and welcome. It's new build day. It's Monday. We're starting a new week, and it's a new build. And a weird thing has been happening lately, and it's a good thing. But it's changed my plans for this week, as you can tell by the flashy title that I put up. It figures. That's my take on the last week. The last couple of builds I did, Ares and the Grissom. Doing them, there's an inherent danger. I call it a danger when you are building the latest kit that comes out, and chances are you're not the only one doing it. And not that I have any beef against anybody who's also building, but I try to offer something a little bit different. And the project that I had lined up for this week is the fine travel pod from Cosmic Scale Models. This is what I was going to be building, and I was marketing it or claiming it to be a personal redemption, and it is, because the last time I built this, it was out of parts that I printed back when I didn't know much about 3D printing, with files that weren't that good. So I was prepared to redo that, and then I come to find that my good friend Phil Siegel over at Spruverse, he's building it, and I just didn't want to go. No slight on Phil, but I just didn't want to go through the same thing that I've been doing the last two builds, where I'm building a Grissom, other people are building a Grissom, building the Ares, a lot of other people building the Ares at the same time. I will get to this travel pod. I will probably get to it after this. But I want to give Phil his space. He's doing a heck of a good job on it, and I want to let him do that. And I'm going to do some figures. Now, I had a world of fun last week painting up Frankenstein Jr. I had discovered that I really enjoyed doing not only just figures, but colorful things, because I had been doing a spate of grays and blues and dirty washes and intricate lighting and decals, and I needed a break from all of that. So I had been having a world of fun printing up these figures, and that's what I've decided. What the impetus was is like, I'm looking around, I'm getting my resources ready, I'm getting to pull everything out for the subject this week, and then I happen across Phil's video, and it's like, oh well, that figures. So that bing light bulb goes off. That figures. Go back and do the figures. You were enjoying those, and we will be finishing up the week with this figure. Now, it's also a brand new kit, and there's probably a ton of people out there building it, but we're gonna finish up, because I don't think this will take a whole lot of time. At least we'll get a lot of it started. But we're gonna finish up with Wonder Woman, and this is my Wonder Woman. I prefer that. This is not the Wonder Woman who will turn a terrorist into a pasty spot on the wall in front of a bunch of kids, and then kneel down and tell a little girl, yes, you can be just like me and also kill people. This is a more innocent Wonder Woman. Linda Carter, my Wonder Woman. As much as Adam West is my Batman, Linda Carter is my Wonder Woman. So we'll be working on that this week as well. The thing about these is that it will allow me to, like paint the color on all of one, and then come down to the table. And here we are with our Groovy Ghoulies. Now, the Groovy Ghoulies, I've printed all of these parts out, and I'm getting ready to paint. Now, you gotta love the character designs on these. Now, the video, the animation itself, it only is second to Filmation as far as how crude the animation was. It's one of those things that I remember it being a lot better than it actually was. I've been watching some old videos that are available on YouTube, and it does not age well. But I still love these designs. And to think that outside of Larry Storch, who did the voice of Drac, most of the rest of this cast was done by one guy, Howard Morris, who was a character actor in the 60s, and you would recognize him immediately if you saw him. But he primarily did the voices of all the male characters other than Larry Storch. So I'm going to be enjoying these. I've gone ahead and started gluing together some of the bits. Now, these were all available on CG Trader. The same artist created all these files, which you pay for and you download, and then you print up. But I mean, look at this is Wolfie, who had the voice impression. I mean, it was Howard Morris, but it was a riff on Wolfman Jack, and the kids out there won't know who Wolfman Jack is. But the look, the design on these are great. But I'm going to start hitting these with primer. I am going to be painting them much like I painted Frankenstein Jr. That is, with flat colors, not trying to throw a bunch of shading and shadows and three-dimensionalness into it, because I believe the sculpts themselves, just like Frankie, that'll throw the shadows where they need to be. I don't need to try to make them look hyper-realistic or anything. I'm going to paint them in the basic colors that the animated cells were painted in. And I'm going to save my realistic skin tones and all of that for Wonder Woman. So I had these divided out. Frankie's going to get gray. Oh, and another thing is, I did not, in most places except for the Mummy, I did not glue their heads on so that I could work on those separately. But Frankie gets gray primer, Wolfie gets gray primer, and I think we're going to do the Mummy, obviously, and Bella and Drac are going to get white primer. The pants legs will get gray primer because the skin tones on Bella and Drac are white. They'll get white primer. I'll probably go ahead. I can mask the hands off, and this will give it a gray primer as well. So I've got my primers divided out. Then I can start pulling out parts of the Wonder Woman kit and get those glued together, because they are very basic as well. And while the ghoulies are out in the other room with their primer coats drying, I am going to turn my attention here to the lovely Wonder Woman. And this is very clearly a Season 1 Wonder Woman design. And the easiest way for you to tell is in the costume. This is Season 1 DVD box set. And you could tell the eagles, I won't try to point out the obvious here, but the wings on the eagles are one big shape. And her shorts are low cut. Well, I mean, they're full shorts, plus the fact that they are many more stars on them. Here is an example of what Season 2's costume, which is carried into Season 3, what that looks like. And you can see the wings of the eagles are separated out. There's red spacing in between them. The shorts have much fewer stars, and they're higher cut up on her lovely thighs. They are you can just see the difference in the cut. That again, same boots, same tiara, same gauntlets, but you can tell there's quite a difference in how the shorts are cut. So we will not be making a Season 2 or 3 version out of this kit. You can only make the Season 1. And the reason why, I like the kit. I like the character. I like Linda Carter's version of the character. But what I'm going to be attempting to do with this kit is to make white vinyl stars so that you don't have to use the decals. I think that will work just as well as using the decals. That's something that I did on the Riddler as well, was to replace all of those many small decals with vinyl. And we're going to see if we can also replace the white stripe on the front of the boots and the top of that, if we can do that in white vinyl as well, because the main challenge about this kit above anything else is going to be the seam work on it, because you've got lovely bare exposed knees that you're going to have a seam going through there. So you want to make sure that that is sanded and filled and doesn't look like there's a big old line running down through it. And you have the same problem with her arms. She has bare arms, and this joint going into her shoulder is going to be very tricky to make sure that you've got those seams, making them disappear and blended and that way. I mean, it's not like a costumed character where you can get away with hiding the seam lines in the costuming. When you've got bare arms, you've got to make sure that they are very well put together and glued and seamed and sanded. So that's the main focus on this, is making sure that all of those seams disappear. So let's go ahead and do a bunch of sub-assemblies. We can put the legs together, we can put the arms together. The way this is designed, it all goes onto the torso last. So let's go ahead and knock some of those out. And here is Wonder Woman mostly put together. The major construction, the legs have not been glued onto the body, the arms have not been glued on, the head has not been glued on, but the left and right halves of all those parts have been put together. And I have to give props to Mobius on this kit, because they are allowing you to do several different poses. Well, not poses so much as things you can do. Now, I am choosing to do my setup like what's on the front of the box, with the painted lasso here and the bullet deflecting sparks coming off of each of the gauntlets or the bracelets. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to. It's a matter of opening up the holes on the kit. The kit comes with all those holes filled in from the front. You can see where they are from the inside of the part, so you kind of have to decide which way you're going to do it. They also package in this golden lasso material, which frankly, I mean, I would like to do that, because if you want to use the lasso up in the air, you can either wrap wire in this to pose it, or use a glue to stiffen it in position. But to me, it just comes down to what I've got space on the shelf for, and I really don't have a lot of space up here for a lasso. So I'm just going to do the bullet deflections, which are these little bits here, which I think we can have some fun painting those. But that's the pose I'm going to do. And I think right now I am going to leave, and when it comes to painting this, I am going to leave the head off, obviously, because that's a natural joint. There's no neck per se. I mean, there's a little bit of it, but the hair comes down over the neck in such a way that outside of blending the front of her face with just that bit there, there's not so much sanding that has to be done. But I am going to go ahead and glue her arms in, because even though these joints are nice and tight, let's talk about the legs. Legs, because of the way they join up with her pants, you don't have to worry about sanding a seam there. That's an obvious clothing / costume seam, so we don't worry about that. Those will be fine. We can paint those separately. But these joints here on her shoulders, although they are very, very tight and they are particularly feathered out nicely, I still want to go ahead and join those to the rest of her torso before we prime this, because we really do need to putty and feather in those seams, or the joints here. They are very tight just on their own, but it's not something where I want to paint all of this and paint the arm and then attach it. You want to make sure that your flush tones and everything are going to be nice and blended. So let's go ahead and glue those in, and we'll treat this as one piece by itself. The seams, I gotta say, this plastic is sanding up like a dream. I mean, the seams are good, but the plastic is soft enough. The styrene is soft enough that it's making a nice sanding. Now, of course, I'm going to put some primer on this, and it's going to make a big fat liar out of me because of all the stuff that I think is a pretty good seam. As soon as I put the primer on, it's going to start showing all of the defects. And it's easy enough to take a file here on the seam over her costume areas. And the pants seam is very smooth, and it's filing up very nicely. But these the joints on her top, since this is a red satin, it's got a lot of creases and folds in it. That's easy enough to use particularly a circular file on. The hair has always been an issue. Even every kit that's got a head on it that's got hair, you've got trouble when you're trying to run a seam down through that and then come back and sand it. I noticed it was particularly bad on Elvira because of how straight her hair parts were. But this one is the seam is a little wavy and it goes in and out. And I think it's going to be a little bit easier to disguise. I'm not going to put the face in until later, because I can go ahead and start painting in the hair and then attach the face later on. But yeah, for the last bit of construction for this morning before we take a lunch break, I want to go ahead and get these arms glued in. Okay, the arms are glued in now. I know it's going to make it a little bit more difficult when it comes to painting this area in between, but you have to balance that against getting this seam nice and joint, and you can see where we're going to need a little bit of putty at least. I'm going to probably use the Tamiya white putty, although it would be great if there was a flesh tone putty, but I don't think such a thing exists, and I don't want to use that heavy Bondo putty, the spot putty on that. I'm going to use something lighter. So yeah, this is a good spot to kind of leave it in. Okay, I think we've got a good stab at things done today. Not only are all these put together, but got some of the base coats on. I got the base brown on Wolfie. I got a nice deck tan on the Mummy, which of course will get white over top of that. And I've got the base colors in on Frankie. Really all that's left on Frankie is the black, because he had very few colors outside of coloring in his face. You have the greens of his suit, the bluish green skin, the brown boots, and really after that it's just a matter of painting in his eyes and face, and the black hair and the black turtleneck. That's not actually a turtleneck, but it's a sweater he's got underneath, the shirt he's got underneath. Wolfie's got your traditional purple and yellow, and Mummy is mummy colored, so shouldn't be too much tough painting on those. But we're gonna let these dry overnight. I've got Drac and Bella in the other room with their primer coats on, and we can work closely on those tomorrow. That's more blues and reds. This is more greens and browns here. So I was kind of working through the colors in the brush. I'd start off with the blue, start off with the green, and then add a little bit of blue-green to it, and then clean out the brush, and then add some brown, and then clean out the brush and add some, you know how it is. I'm just kind of working through that end of the spectrum this morning, or this afternoon. Okay, everybody, it is Tuesday now. I apologize for not getting a lot done today, but in the interest of keeping a running video going, I will maybe show you what I did after I turned off the camera yesterday, and that is to, let's see, well, today I've painted in the black accents on Frankie's head. He's looking quite dapper. Let's see, I painted in some details on Wolfie. Painted the blue pants. I don't like that color of blue. I'm going to have to fix it for Drac. Of course, painted the Mummy up. Got Bella's gown all done. Well, it's the first coat of the red. And painted some of Wolfie's brown, his fur. Also working on the vinyl for Wonder Woman now to place on the shorts as you want to go. So I think that's going to work out nice, and I think that's a neater solution than the decals, just because of all the hassles that decals come with as far as yellowing and all of that kind of stuff, when you can just pick these up and move them, and if you don't like it, you spin it around and move it somewhere else. For some reason I cut that arm off of there, but see, now I can just put it up in a corner and you'll never know. But yeah, I didn't get a lot done because I'm getting a quickie order that Steve just made a supplemental order I got in the mail this morning, so I need to go ahead and knock that out and get it back out to him. So that's the story. And you know, I went out in my errands today, and the local store still has not gotten any new Tamiya paints in, and it's getting to be fairly embarrassing to not have any of the basic colors. I mean, you can still get your OD greens and stuff like that, but I was quite surprised that there was no white, no black, no red, no blue, no yellow, no green, none of your basic, you know, fundamental colors. So I hope it doesn't go on for much longer, because if I run out of paint, I'm dead in the water. I can't paint anything. I can't paint anything. I can't build anything. That's just how it is. Hey everybody, it's Wednesday. It's hump day. It's the it's another one of those days where I've got many things to do and not a lot of time to do them. So I'm getting an early shake at it by getting some painting done that can be drying through the rest of the day whilst I go on and do other things. Started doing some detail work on Frankie today, getting the eyes and the black. Well, I did the black yesterday, but doing the white and the red detailing here. Still have a bit to go on the tight detailing on the black. Let's see. Worked on the mummy some. Oh, that's what I needed to do. I had the yellow out for a reason. I need to do the eyes on the mummy, and Drac have yellow eyes. Swear to God, yellow eyes. Yesterday I did some red accent, or some dark red accenting on Bella's gown, even though it technically doesn't exist because it was a flat, you know, red animated thing. But I just think it needs a little bit of dimension in it. And I was painting similar details on Wolvie's face, the reds and the whites. I find it best to go around and do the same color on everything while I've got that color out. It's just easier for me to work that way. And so let me get back on the yellow for the eyeballs for Drac and for the mummy. Morning everybody, it's Thursday. It's the gateway to the weekend, but it's also the last work day of the week for me, because I am not going to be working on this stuff tomorrow. I am going to be driving up to my old hometown and attending a family function that had been put off because of COVID, and now we can do it. So we are going to be doing it, and that means I will be doing that instead. But I still plan on putting this video up Friday. You should be seeing it on Friday if all goes well. If not, I will be hearing about it and I'll fix it next week. Excuse me. But what I've done is I've taken Frankie and Wolfie and Mummy off the table because I am done with them. And I have instead brought down Bella and Drac and Wonder Woman. And I am continuing work on them. I am trying to do what I can about the seams on Wonder Woman's shoulders, using a bit of the Tamiya flat flesh as a primer for that. We're going to finish up first. We're going to go with the Bella because she's mostly done now. Unfortunately, I had to break her neck, but you know, she's a ghoul, she's a ghost, she didn't feel a thing. The problem was the way it's designed, this hair gets very tight, clamped down over the body, and it still scrapes the paint a little bit, but it made it very difficult to get that joint to settle in. So I had to, last time I was messing around with it, it actually snapped her neck. And so I just decided to make the best of it, go ahead, file that down, get it a good finish while I could, and then I can always re-glue it, which is what I'm going to do now. And then all I need to do, I checked she doesn't have any nail polish, her fingernails aren't painted, so it'll be just a matter of putting the arms in, and then she will be done, and I can, that just leaves me Drac, really. And Drac, I'm going to have to do a lot of his blue suit. I'm going to have to paint by hand, because it's going to be very difficult to skin around that to spray that. So I'll give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. But let's first finish up with Bella. Back working on Wonder Woman here for a minute. And I got to tell you, this has been the toughest model I've seen in quite a while as far as clamping. Everything is round and curvy, and I mean that in a good way. There are no good areas to grab when you are trying to clamp something without the clamp snapping or sliding off. Everything has this, well, it's rounded, and it makes it very difficult to clamp anything. So it's taking a little extra time. And I also have to remember to work with clean hands, especially if you're doing anything that involves flush tones. But I want to go ahead and paint in the boots and get ready to put vinyl down on those. Got the pantalones painted in. Good to give those this will be getting a satin finish before we go too much further, so that it'll protect it, plus it'll give it more of a shine, and then I can put the vinyl down on top. And that's going to bring an end to this ghoulish week. There are my completed groovy ghoulies, and I've got Wonder Woman halfway done, but she's not decent. She's in no shape to be presented. So we'll just leave that at this. Now, of course, the compressor's going to chime in, but I'm thinking that next week I will want to put these on some sort of base, maybe build a backdrop for them. So stay tuned. We're not quite finished with these guys yet. And that's going to do it for this slightly truncated week. I will be posting this video up on Friday, even though I will be finishing it on Thursday. So until next week, when we will be making a nice diorama-ish backdrop for the Groovy Ghoulies and finishing up on Wonder Woman, y'all have a good week. Be good to each other, be good to yourself, take care of your neighbor. Be back next time. Oh, and by the way, I want to thank each and every one of you for doing your small part to bringing my subscriber total above 10,000. Yes, there are, no matter how alone you may think you are in the world, there are at least 9,995-ish people just as strange as you. So take pride in that, and we'll see you here next time.